Hi guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the ADC TV channel. We're back with another reaction video today. This time it's looking at some really dumb people killing themselves in really stupid and idiotic ways that are just astounding how they managed to make it to the age that they did without killing themselves. Anyway, let's get into it.
Leap of faith. In May of 2019, a car chase left a criminal in a tough spot. The Brooklyn man was wanted for a carjacking when he made his first dumb move, crashing into a police car, triggering a high-speed chase. His second, and most lasting mistake, came later, after the pursuit left him trapped between multiple pursuing police cars on the Brooklyn Bridge. Rather than hand himself over, he went with the Grand Theft Auto method. He assumed that jumping over the railing down to the ground below would allow him to escape with little more than a...
Really? You think jumping off a really tall bridge is a good idea? That I know, I'll be able to get up and run away. I got a feeling I know how it turned out.
Scratch or two. So over he went, and while he did indeed get away, he did so in a body bag.
And there you go.
Remember your roots. There are many embarrassing ways to die, but falling victim to the wrath of a root vegetable has to be near the top. When out on a hunting trip in 1881, British politician Sir William Payne Galloway
Figures. British politician.
entered the annals of ridiculous history when he slipped and fell onto a turnip. The turnip, renowned by his fellow turnips as a violent brute, caused severe internal injuries to the politician, and he died that day, age 74. Turns out vegetables aren't so good.
How does slipping on a turnip kill you?
For you after all.
I know they're not very
World's
nice,
longest
but
breath holder. I could think of better ways to spend a Saturday night than a breath holding contest, but apparently boredom was at an all-time high for a New Jersey man in August 2018. Rather than holding the competition between friends on the safety of dry land, the man decided to hold his breath underwater on Lake St. Clair in Georgia. 7 minutes passed before anyone noticed anything was wrong. And this time, the undisputed winner of the contest had fallen unconscious and drowned, proving that real winners never give up. Cigarette burns. Hospitals are usually safe places for treatment and recovery.
Trust me, I can tell you from experience, they're not. Honestly, they're not. They can leave you very, very close to death.
But a questionable decision made by an elderly lady in Haltern am See, Germany, brought a quick end to her own treatment plan in 2018. The lady, who was wheelchair-bound from sickness, wheeled herself outside for a nice, relaxing smoke. She seemed to forget that she was wearing an oxygen ventilator, which ignited when...
God's sake. Hold on, how can you forget you've got an oxygen tank strapped to your wheelchair and you're breathing oxygen in through your nose? How do you forget that you're wearing oxygen? How?
When she lit her cigarette, setting fire to the plastic upholstery of her wheelchair, she was engulfed in deadly flames and scorching plastic and died soon after. Everyone knows smoking's bad for your health, but usually its effects aren't so explosive. Not the bees. Picture this relaxing scene. You're lying down on a comfy massage table, enjoying some nice therapeutic music, when someone forcibly stings you with multiple bees. Surprisingly, this is something people willingly go through on a regular basis, supposedly to relieve stress and muscle tension, and is a form of alternative medicine known as live bee acupuncture. All the bees that are used die in the process, but in 2018, they finally got their own revenge. You see, every time a person is stung by a bee, their chances of suffering an allergic reaction increase. But for one woman who was unaware of this fact, her reaction came as a total surprise after having the treatment so many times. The woman immediately lost consciousness following one of the stings, and soon died of a severe allergic reaction. Don't mess with bees. Nick Cage knows this, and so should you. Escalator to heaven. You've heard of the Stairway to Heaven, but what about the fast track version? The only catch is,
I'm too lazy to take the stairs. Just give me an escalator or a lift. That'll do for me.
Never actually get to the top. This is the fate that met the guitar player from a heavy metal band whose name is so obscene YouTube would implode if I were to say it. A musical career dedicated to causing as much controversy as possible culminated in a rather unclimactic end when he attempted to ride his way along the rail of an escalator. He lost his balance, plummeted over the edge, and died on impact. His head struck a food court table, presumably turning
How did he make it to be that old without killing himself sooner?
some unfortunate kid's Happy Meal into a horror meal. Taking selfies to new heights. Some people go to great lengths for that perfect selfie, but apparently, these great lengths should never exceed 99 feet. The world learned this fact in 2018 when a British woman and her Australian boyfriend were found dead on a beach in Portugal. Piecing the evidence together, police concluded that the couple had been sat atop a 100-foot wall overlooking the beach when they dropped the phone they'd been snapping vacation pics on. They both reached to grab the phone, which had landed on a ledge just below them. Unfortunately, they both lost their balance and plunged the full distance to the ground below. As if to symbolize technology's inevitable takeover of the human race, the phone the couple gave their lives trying to save remained on the wall, unscathed. Trouble in the tub. We're taught from a young age that water and electricity don't mix, but for some people, this never quite sinks in. For some, the comfort of having an electronic device on hand at all times overrides the need to, remain alive. A Londoner learned the error of this mindset in 2017 when he tried charging his phone while in the bath. As he relaxed in the tub, he balanced an extension cord on his chest, keeping it out of the water. What happened next is unclear, but the situation isn't too hard to fathom. Whether he slipped or whether he absentmindedly dunked his phone in the water, he was killed by the ensuing shock. Fussy eater. Everybody loves the hearty goodness of a home-cooked meal, assuming at least one person in the house can cook. But renowned mathematician Kurt Gödel took his love of his wife's home cooking to ridiculous levels. Despite, or perhaps because of, his brilliance as a mathematician, Gödel was an extremely paranoid man. His paranoia grew to the point where in his later years he refused to eat anything that hadn't first been tasted or prepared by his wife. Believing himself to be at the center of a poisoning plot, when his wife was hospitalized for 6 weeks in 1977 and hence was unable to cook for her husband, Gödel stopped eating. By the end of January 1978, he had died of malnutrition, weighing only 65 pounds when he died. In the end, through his desperation to avoid being murdered, he was the one responsible for his own death. It really goes to show, if you want something done right, do it yourself. Hungry for more? While some dumb deaths are caused by no eating at all, occasionally some...
I was going to say something, but I'm not going to because it's it sort of borders on discussing bulimia, and I don't discuss anything like that can be harmful. I won't talk about anything like that. So I'm gonna.
Someone will kick the bucket because of the total opposite. In this case, the bucket was filled to the brim with sticky, delicious sweet rolls. Adolf Fredrik, king of Sweden from 1751 to 1771, wasn't a particularly good king. He was regarded as lacking the aptitude, fortitude, and integrity necessary for successful kingship. But what he lacked as a king, he made up for with his appetite. He was a lover of food with a sweet tooth, and it could never be said that his eyes were bigger than his belly. But while the amount of food he consumed on his last meal in February 1771 did exceed the limitations of his large belly, he finished it nonetheless.
Has anyone seen one of the Monty Python clips? The guy that eats himself stuff and explodes. That's exactly what's just sprung to mind right now.
After a heaping feast of seafood, sauerkraut, and champagne, he moved on to dessert. This consisted of no less than 14 Swedish sweet rolls, all dipped in hot milk flavored with cinnamon and raisins. While he was reportedly stockpiling for the Christian tradition of Lent, he clearly overshot his mark as his digestive system completely shut down and he died. Just goes to show, death by cake isn't as sweet as it sounds. A cut above the vest. Nobody wants to be conned when making a purchase. Indeed, being sold a stab-proof vest that offers the protection of a wet noodle is hardly an ideal scenario. But it should go without saying that testing the stabability of such vests should be done with at least one qualifying factor.
You're not
taking the vest off first. Unfortunately, that first rule of Stab Club whistled in one ear, through the empty skull cavity, and out the other ear of one Englishman in 2018. Mistakenly believing his jacket was stab-proof, the man took a knife and plunged it into his jacket while at the kitchen table. It turned out the jacket wasn't stab-proof,
British
and
people
funnily
aren't
enough,
the smartest
neither was
either.
he. Before I get to the dumbest death magnets of the bunch, let's take a look at some contenders who somehow managed to avoid qualifying for a Darwin Award by surviving their stupidity. This electrician clearly trained with the best, because after all, there's no better insulator than a nice cool puddle of muddy water. Another top-of-the-class graduate of the Elite Electricians Academy is this fellow, who's also in on the secret that water and electricity are actually a great mix. But the rubber industry doesn't want you to know that. For any Darwin Award nominees watching, that was a joke. Anyway, this next close contender seems to be pulling a prank with...
Why are people not able to turn power off before they do anything with electricity? Just the threat of death outweigh the time it would take to go and switch the fuse board off and put it back on again. Okay, and I've just looked at the screen, and it's Russian, so it seems to be Russian. So that sums this one up.
Fuel-depleted chainsaw held alarmingly close to his nether region. But the risk-to-reward ratio of this particular prank earns this guy a firm position in the at-risk Darwin Award Survivors Club. That's just no place for a chainsaw, joke or not. The final at-risk survivor is this fellow who let rage overcome any shred of rational thought. While his friend drives, he takes the noble position of car puncher, hanging out of the car window and attacking the hard walls of another vehicle with his bare hands. Like the genius he so clearly is. As his car swerves, he accidentally opens his door and tumbles gracefully onto the highway. Hey, at least he stuck the landing. Though if this is his reaction to a bit of road rage, I feel like his Darwin Award isn't too far away over the horizon. A bridge too far. Video games, movies, and TV shows have led us all to believe that clearing a rising drawbridge in a car is a viable feat. It isn't. But that realization never occurred to a couple of wannabe Texan stuntmen who put their inflated senses of their own abilities to the test in May 2019. Witnesses reported seeing a car's passenger lift the barrier of the Black Bayou Drawbridge in Louisiana before the car sped off up the rising ramp. Now, admittedly, some people do occasionally survive these jumps, like this distracted driver who didn't even realize the bridge had begun to rise before cruising over the top to the other side. But these people are the minority and should be taken as representatives of the majority, because the majority, like our Texan friends, follow a learning curve that's steeper than the downward path of their car. However, any learning was short-lived in this case, as the Texan pair were trapped in their car after it failed to make the jump to the other side. They sank and soon drowned. Put simply, they were neither fast nor furious enough. Which Darwin?
So, yeah. Just some stupid ways people have managed to kill themselves. How they made it to the age that they did when they killed themselves, as I said, is another matter. Because, it just daft. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like down below. Hit the subscribe and notification icons to so you know when I upload new content. I upload new content every single day, so check back on the next one. And yeah, if there's any videos you want me to take a look at, leave a comment down below of whatever it is you want me to take a look at, and I will do my best to get it put up, assuming the Fun Police YouTube lets me put it up. Well, it's YouTube after all. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.